Folks, although reigning world champion Adam Logan emerged victorious at the elite Game of Tiles tournament from Kingston, Ontario, the overall field was one of the toughest I've seen in recent memory, including a slew of former national champions. Two of those champions, Matthew Tunnicliffe and Josh Sokol, gave us a pair of instant classics during the group stage of the tournament. The two champions were paired in the very first round of the tournament, with Matthew going first, holding the S and Z and opening with G's for 28. Josh answers with the overlap of he for 23, and Matthew draws the Q. On this very tight board, there's not much else to do with it except burn his S with cheese for 38. Josh answers with Helio for 29, and here Matthew has an obvious looking spot to play the X he's just drawn. However, his only two options there are X for 41, which keeps duplicated N's and four consonants to just one vowel, or Rex for 43, which makes dangerous hooks of Prex and Grex in the triple lane. Either of these plays also create the potential for XO underlaps from Josh in response. Matthew instead makes a very sharp choice of Neff for 27, keeping his X. This move keeps a more flexible leave while preserving a strong scoring option for the X if the spot stays open. Computer analysis strongly approves. After Josh exchanges from a vowel-heavy rack, Matthew cashes in his setup play with Lux for 48, further tightening the board. Needing to open things back up proactively, Josh plays Ya for 16, setting up a good hook for his S. Now holding three sets of duplicates, Matthew can't do much about it and plays Nooner for 17, after which Josh draws the first bingo of the game in guineas for 76. Matthew is ready for this opening as he immediately hits Prodigal for 80 to retake the lead. Now trailing once again, Josh draws the second blank and makes an aggressive setup of Tuft for 20 to open a dangerous S-hook. Matthew lacks an S, but draws the Y just in time to hook Tufty with the archaic Gory for 38 to shut down the open lane. Undeterred, Josh plays the very strong Atok for 39, opening both the top row of the board for 8-letter bingos, but also the Atok hook, holding the powerful ED combination in reserve along with his blank, giving him excellent bingo chances. Matthew answers with his top scoring choice of Viand for 33, continuing to put scoring pressure on Josh, but Josh draws the J and can answer with Jellied for 87 points to storm back into the game. Still, Matthew is in good shape with his own top response of Abject for 40. Although Josh does draw good bingo tiles, including the 7-letter words Unroped and Pounder, the board is extremely closed down and things are looking grim. Despite this, amazingly, Pounder still fits on the board with 5 overlaps underneath Nooner, and Josh quickly spots this option and plays it to jump back into the lead. Matthew is now in big trouble on the board he's worked hard to keep closed. He doesn't have any reasonable plays to the triple in the upper right, and Josh will often be able to score well there without opening anything new. More standard plays like ABBA don't open much and are too likely to be outscored, so Matthew needs a more aggressive option. In fact, the top scoring play available here is I Am for 35. This move is more than just aggressive. It looks downright insane to create a gigantic S-hook on the triple with 2 more S's and a blank still unseen. However, the computer engine loves this choice. Without drastic action, Matthew isn't going to win this game, and in the absence of a better alternative, he decides to go for I Am despite the ample risks. Yes, if Josh has a hook, he will get hammered, but he was already in trouble in that case. If Josh doesn't have one, Matthew will put him in a brutal spot. This is exactly what happens, as Josh has none of the relevant letters to make a high-scoring play on the bottom row. The game is far too close for him to make a low-scoring block there. Matthew will easily outrun him with good scoring plays. The computer engine thinks that Josh's position is dire enough that he needs to fight fire with fire and play Ew alongside Abject, making a second huge triple word score available to guarantee that if he draws an S, he'll have a lucrative place to play it. Instead of this crazy choice, Josh makes the much more human move of Wowee for 43, hoping to draw enough firepower to withstand Matthew's best shot on the bottom row. After I am, Matthew draws SS blank from the bag, literally his best case scenario. He does have 100-point plays available such as recasts, but with his clock ticking down, he plays the sure thing of co-stars for 79. The only threat here is that if the final tile in the bag is a V, Matthew will be stuck with it, giving Josh an opportunity for a miracle comeback. When Matthew draws the I, he can breathe easy, cementing his victory in a crazy back and forth round 1. A few rounds later, in the final round of the group stage, Matthew and Josh meet for a second time, with the winner advancing to the championship match play bracket and the loser falling into the consolation bracket. Matthew gets off to a very fast start with 2 straight bingos, putting Josh in an early hole. In response, he plays the hyper volatile Koto for 25. Not only does this make a big S hook, but it also allows the W to hook for huge scores with the alternate spelling of kowtow. Matthew is forced to block the potential setup with bait, and Josh storms back in the game, drawing both blanks at once and hitting the double-double with Ostamate for 82, and after Matthew has to dump his cue, following up with the stylish Failings with several overlaps for a second straight bingo, giving Josh the lead. In response, Matthew plays his top scoring option of Biotype for 44. This is a great find, but it does offer huge potential counterplay along the bottom row. The computer engine slightly prefers Poli for 39 here, yielding lower average scores to Josh on his next move. However, Josh's next draw contains just 1 vowel, severely limiting his ability to capitalize on the new spot. If he leaves it open, it'll be Matthew hitting that triple hard, so he plays Cures for 24 to block it as best he can. After Matthew's Radome for 30 and Josh's Veg for 19, Matthew lands a big blow in Ralliers for 70, while Josh gets a devastating all-consonant draw. With several big potential spots for his Z, he plays Fang for 21 to draw the vowels he needs to hit those spots, and Matthew seizes the opportunity to widen his lead with Calcs for 42. This has the added benefit of setting up a great spot for his J. However, it's also a good Z spot, and Josh quickly takes it for 44 points. Even better, Josh saves the right letters to threaten Sounders for 83 points, with one of the 4 unseen E's still available to draw. If Matthew takes too few points to block the S of Cures here, bingos through the N of Failings may start to score enough to overtake him, so he looks to continue to apply scoring pressure with Jot for 34. In response, Josh makes a brilliant move to give himself a fighting chance. In most situations, the S is the most valuable tile to keep in Scrabble. Here, he plays the S by itself with Jots and Kotos for 22. With his clunky-looking remaining letters, if he draws one of the 2 remaining U's, he'll have the possibility of not only surround from the S of Cures, but also run round from the N of Failings. It could be tough for Matthew to simultaneously block both of these options. Not only that, but an E draw will give him reground for 77 as another potential bingo. This highly counterintuitive play appears to be Josh's best shot here, a very impressive move on his part. Matthew runs into major vowel trouble and grabs his highest scoring move in O for 31, putting him up by over 100. However, Josh hits the E he was looking for and can still play reground now for 82. With 5 tiles in the bag, his odds of winning in the endgame will be bleak, but if Matthew has 6 or 7 vowels, Josh just might pull this off, especially with the aid of the Unifoliate extension, which scores a very solid 39 points here. Fortunately for Matthew and unfortunately for Josh, it's Matthew who has the necessary letters to play that extension. But Matthew's best endgame options actually do not use it here. When the dust settles, Matthew wins 492 to 451 over Josh, advancing into the winner's bracket phase of the tournament. And although he would fall to eventual champion Adam Logan, Matthew and Josh gave us two of my favorite games of the live stream. You can catch these two full games along with many other phenomenal Game of Tiles matches over at Let's Play Scrabble. I'll put some links in the video description. I hope you enjoyed the games as much as I did, and as always, thanks for watching.